Hello students, in today's class we are going to talk about the detailed and explained solutions of our very recent previous year exam of NTA UGC-NET exam English December 2019. For the better understanding of the solutions and the whole arrangement of the question paper, I have divided up the whole question paper in 10 different units according to the very recent syllabus. In this class, we are going to talk about Unit 3, Fiction and Short Story. Before starting with the solutions of Unit 3, we will talk about the important things about Unit 3 that were chiefly observed in question paper. Let us talk about the important things. The first thing is number of questions. There were 13 questions from Unit 3 in the question paper. The difficulty level of these 13 questions was from moderate to difficult. Very less number of questions were in the easy mode. The third thing was type of questions that were fluctuating from identification based. That means what, who, which, when, how, where, etc. Match the column based, chronological based to extract based. So this was the whole framework of 13 questions. Now, before beginning with the solutions of Unit 3, you are expected to note it down first and then we will talk about the solutions. Note it down please. Let's talk about the solutions of Unit 3, the very first question in our solutions. Question 1. Which one of W.M. Thackeray's novels has the following as the closing sentence? The options here are, in fact, the statement is to be read first. Which of us is happy in this world? Which of us has his desire or having it is satisfied? We have been given 4 options. The first option, Luck of Barry Landon. Second option, Pendennis. Third option, Vanity Fair. And the fourth option, History of Henry Esmond. The correct answer for this statement is Vanity Fair. And the reason is stated below. The above statement is closing sentence of the novel Vanity Fair. The second reason, novel Vanity Fair was published in 1847. It is simply the story of Becky Sharp, the character in the novel, and Amelia Sedley. And all their activities in their life have been mentioned in the mid of their family members, along with that their friends. If we talk about the novel, it was published in 1847, but along with that, the novel was also serialized in a monthly magazine during 1847 to 1848. And the title for the novel at the time was Pen and Pencil Sketches of English Society. Pen and Pencil Sketches of English Society. I'll write it here. The next is question number 2. In second question, it has been asked, which of the following work by Henry Fielding begins as a parody? Parody means something that has been written to make fun of or to mock at the earlier work. So, Henry Fielding begins as a parody of Samuel Richardson's Pamela. So, what novel was that was making fun of Pamela? Epistolary novel, that means the novel in the form of letters by Samuel Richardson. The 4 options given here are Tom Jones, Don Quixote by Cervantes, the Spanish novel. It is the classic work in Spanish literature. Amelia, at the last one, Joseph Andrews. So the correct answer for this is Joseph Andrews. The reason? Joseph Andrews was published in 1742. It is a parody of Richardson's Pamela, and it is also a story of a man who is just having adventures on the road when he is going to his home all the way from London. Along with that, there is another character with that prime character Joseph Andrews, and the other character will be found entitled as Abraham Adams. You should never forget that he was a parson and an absent-minded person. If we talk about the other title of Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding, then the other title was The History of the Adventures of Joseph Andrews and of his friend Abraham Adams. Talking about our very first question, we should never forget that Vanity Fair was also having its title that was borrowed from John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. So these are the two questions. You are to note it down first and then we will talk about the further questions. So now let us talk about further questions and their solutions. Here is question number 3. In question number 3, it is, which of the following fictional characters is in the right chronological order? We have been given the options: Uncle Toby, One Friday, Stephen Dedalus, Miss Havisham. In fact, these 4 characters have been given in a way that they are going to be juxtaposed from each other. Till the 4th option, when we read, we find that the correct answer is 3. In identifying the correct answer, you will have to see which character is coming in which novel when it has been published in the way that it's going to be counted in a chronological sequence of a publication year. The correct answer is 3. That means One Friday, Uncle Toby, Miss Havisham and Stephen Dedalus. Let's take the correct answer. Now, when we simply talk about the reasons, the first one, Man Friday, is a character in Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe that was published in 1719. The word Man Friday is also used for any of the male servant who is very loyal to a person. In fact, it has become a metaphor. You can also call it an allusion. Second one is Uncle Toby, who was Tristram's uncle in the novel The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, the Gentleman. This is one of the classical novels of English literature published in 1759 by Lawrence Sterne. The next is Miss Havisham. You will never forget that lady. She was a prime character, chief character in the novel Great Expectations, written by Charles Dickens, the Victorian novel, I should say. The next, Stephen Dedalus, who was a character in James Joyce's novels. In fact, this character could easily be visualized in 2 of the novels of Joyce. The first novel, The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. The second novel is Ulysses. In fact, this character is an alter ego having the same similarities that is found in the author. This is why the first novel, The Artist as a Young Man, that is also known as a semi-autobiographical novel of James Joyce. So let us talk about the next question here. The next one is, which 2 of the following novels belong to the Victorian Age in English? You know Victorian Age? It is 1832 to 1901. When we talk about the novels, Pendennis, The Way of All Flesh, The Battle of the Books and Barchester Towers. The options A and C, B and D, C and D and A and D. So the correct answer is the second one. That means this one, B and D. Let's talk about which are the novels. B, The Way of All Flesh and D, Barchester Towers. Let's get some detail about these 2 novels. A brief detail, I should say. Barchester Towers was a novel by Anthony Trollope, which was published in 1857. It is the second novel of Trollope's novel series that was entitled as Chronicles of Barsetshire. Remember, it was the second novel of that series. The second novel, The Way of All Flesh, published in 1903. It is semi-autobiographical novel written by Samuel Butler. In fact, the novel covers the 4 generations of the prime character of this novel, named as Ernest Pontifex. And this is the reason that this novel is also known as Ernest Pontifex. The novel attacks the Victorian hypocrisy and just some sort of outshowing and many of the things that were considered too critical and just not to be followed by many of the people in the Victorian age. So now you are expected to note it down first and then we will talk about the other questions with the solutions as well. Now let us talk about the 5th question of our unit 3. The 5th question here is, which one of the following novels by Kingsley MS represents its protagonist as an angry young man? If you know, Angry Young Man was a movement through which the chief character or the protagonist of the novel or the play was to be shown against the modern society, its disillusioned ways, and also those things that were completely accordingly to dissatisfaction for that particular character. So we have been given the 4 options. I like it here. Lucky Jim, the biographer's mustache, and the 4th one, the great man. The correct answer is Lucky Jim by Kingsley MS. The reason for the answer should be begin from here. Dixon is disillusioned in this novel, who is the prime character. In fact, the novel is about a lecturer, James Dixon, who is working at an unnamed university, and he is disillusioned with the modern society and its ways. This is why he represents an angry young man. The other writers who were also working through the same genre of angry young movement were John Osborne, Arnold Wesker. In fact, this novel was published in 1954, and it was in 1955 when the novel was awarded with Somerset Maugham Award for Fiction. So this was the answer here. Let's talk about our 6th question. That's here on the board. The 6th question is, which arrangement of D.H. Lawrence novels is in right chronological sequence? We have been given 4 options. The first, Kangaroo, The Plumed Serpent, Sun and Lovers, The Rainbow. Second, Sun and Lovers, The Rainbow, Kangaroo, The Plumed Serpent, The Rainbow, The Plumed Serpent, Kangaroo, Sun and Lovers, and finally the Rainbow, Kangaroo, The Plumed Serpent, and final the Suns and Lovers. If we talk about the correct answer, it means second one, because all these 4 novels have been chronologically arranged according to the publication year of these novels by D.H. Lawrence. Let's talk about some of the reasons. Whenever we talk about D.H. Lawrence, it means we are talking about a modern novelist who simply touched the theme of sexuality, modern problems, industrialization, and emotional values and vitality of those values in human life and society as well. The further thing is about some of the very notable novels of Lawrence. The very first novel that was published in 1911 was The White Peacock, The Suns and Lovers in 1913, The Rainbow in 1915, Women in Love in 1920, Lady Chatterley's Lover, that was quite explicit for its sexual theme and also banned in some of the countries, published in 1928, Kangaroo in 1923, and the last one, The Plumed Serpent in 1926. So this is how D.H. Lawrence published his very notable novels. With the answers of these questions, we come to know that all the questions were asked in the way that they were not having any identical feature or pattern with each other. In fact, every question was quite different with the other questions. So we find the questions were chiefly based on characters, plot, chronological sequence, etc. And this is why every question was going to provide a very standard complication within itself. So these were the solutions of our Unit 3, Fiction and Short Story.